Hey guys, as you join, you are muted, so you can open your mic. How are you, Chris? Ooh,
I'm
hello.
good. How are you?
Good, good, good. I'm assuming you go by Chris. If you don't, tell
I
me.
do.
Okay. And Amber, hi.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you both. Hey, so it's just you two today. We're off to a nice small start for the new year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
I am recording, and that's so that I can send you guys a copy of the class, assuming you want it, when we're done. And that way you can have it for, posterity. Um, are there any questions from either of you before we begin? I know Amber and I chatted a little bit just prior to today, but Chris, any concerns or anything I need to be aware of before we start?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I believe, Chris, you are doing 3 visits total.
Yes, I am.
Okay. And so today is visit one, and then your second and third visits will be one in February, one in March, and they'll
Okay.
be at least 15 days apart. So you can schedule as early in February as you care to. I'll send you a new link to schedule that. Today's the only day we actually get together by video. Visits 2 and 3 for you will be by phone, and they'll just be you and me. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we do today is more, hey, it's very high level. This is the information everybody needs to know. So we go over it together. Amber's actually potentially doing a revision. She may have some nuggets of wisdom that she may want to share with us. I don't know. We'll see. But we do like to hear from people who've been around the block. So okay, so let's go ahead and get started then. Um, we're basically going to walk through kind of an A to Z timeline, if you will. We're going to start with anatomy, just the physiology of what the surgery is doing on the inside. Once we understand that, that helps kind of drive all the decisions we do on the outside. So we'll start with that. We'll go through a kind of quick list of do's and don'ts. It is mostly don'ts, unfortunately, but we try to make it as lighthearted as possible. Amber's probably like, oh, I know
Yeah.
about the don'ts. Yeah. Um, and then we'll move into how and when to start your pre-surgery diet. We'll kind of gloss over that. Chris, you and I'll have more time to go over that in detail. So I may skip over some of those chunks just because Amber's familiar with it and you don't need it for a few months. We'll go over kind of what post-surgery looks like, what happens when you get home, how you get, working through that progression of clear liquids back to solid food. And then we'll end with vitamins, just what that is going to look like. I'm going to show you products available through my office, and of course we can take questions or you can ask about other products as well. I don't know everything that's out there on the market, but I do know the good stuff that's out there. So, having said that, let's go ahead and we'll start. Now, Amber, if you're doing a revision, is this hopeful a revision of your sleeve so that you still stay in a sleeve, or are we looking at, we don't know, it could be a revision
Um,
into a bypass?
it could be the bypass revision. They're not sure yet. They're going to go in and do the
Yeah, they got to go
EKG
look at
stuff
your
and see
test.
what's going on. Yeah.
Okay. And then Christopher, you're focusing on sleeve, right? That's the goal here.
Uh, Actually, I'm doing the bypass straight away. They said we're just going to skip the
You're
sleep
right.
filling.
I do see that check marked right here. Bypass. Okay. I'm glad I asked them. All right, so let me do this. Basically, this is my universal symbol for your stomach, right? The stomach you have pre-surgery. So Amber, go in the Wayback Machine with me. And Chris, yours now, is very similar in size and shape to a football. It's pretty big. I mean, it's designed to hold a lot of stuff, 5 to 6 cups of content very, very easily. We typically can overfill it. Surgery is going to change those dimensions, right? We're changing the capacity of the stomach. But what I want to emphasize here is what the stomach actually does. It's really not about digestion. In fact, no digestion happens in the stomach. The stomach either breaks things down so that it then goes into the intestines where it is absorbed and used for energy or nutrition or whatever. Or maybe a little absorption of alcohol and water happens through the stomach, but it's really just kind of a gas tank. You're putting stuff in it, you're putting fuel, which in our case is food, and then that fuel or that food is broken down through acid to turn it into something combustible, right? To gasoline. And then it gets deposited into the intestines where you use it. So when we use our original stomach, this is kind of like the gas tank of a Chevy Suburban. Okay, fair enough. You can put a lot of fuel in there. When we have a surgery to change the size of the gas tank, that's all we're doing really is changing the size of the gas tank. Now, I'm oversimplifying this. Obviously, there are other things that are involved here, but at its core, we're changing the size of your gas tank. So simply to you, that means I can't fuel up as largely as I have before. You're still going to fuel up. You still need fuel. You have to eat, right? The surgery is never about you figuring out a way to starve yourself. What it's doing is it's predetermining how you're going to eat and drink, and we're going to do it on a smaller scale. So with our Chevy Suburban gas tanks, we fill up one and done. We can just drive it till it's empty and we don't care. Once we downsize that gas tank, and for sleeve, Amber, really what you got was a Ford Focus, okay? If you're moving on to bypass, and Christopher, you're getting a smart car, okay? It's the tiniest gas tank out there, but it's still a gas tank. You still have to put gas in your tank. It means you're going to be filling up on a smaller scale and probably more frequently than you're used to filling up now. So I'm moving my hand across the screens because I'm trying to kind of impart this visual of, about 5 times a day, you're going to need to ingest some calories or some fuel so that you don't get sick. Because you're in such a small capacity that if you skip opportunities to eat or drink, you really put yourself at risk for malnourishment and dehydration. And both can happen kind of quickly, actually. So I just want to kind of start with that concept. This is a gas tank issue. We're giving you a smaller gas tank, which means you still have to fill up, but you have to fill up smartly, a little more strategically. Now for sleeve, so for Amber, when I mentioned a sleeve is like the Ford Focus, that sleeve is constructed very similarly in size to this banana, right? It really does look like this. This part of the stomach is removed. And Chris, they may be doing this, not necessarily, probably not with your bypass. For sleeve, they actually remove about 80% of the stomach and they sew it back up. Bypass is actually more about creating a little pouch, very similar in size and shape to this egg, but the rest of the stomach is left intact. But this is kind of your gatekeeper, okay? For sleeve, for Amber, this is designed to hold about 4 ounces or a half cup. And this is what I call a forever concept. So you have surgery, your stomach's redesigned, right? Either way, bypass or sleeve. Whatever size they give you, that is your forever size. We're not getting 3 years out and, hey, I can just go back to doing what I was doing before. That's not how it works. This is permanent, okay? So I'm emphasizing this one for Amber because if there's any chance at all that you've migrated away from adhering to those tiny amounts, you're overfilling your sleeve and it could be causing problems. I don't know if that's your deal, but when we start experiencing reflux or just general discomfort or swallowing issues, or even our weight loss stalls, perhaps we're even seeing weight regain, it's usually tied to we've gotten away from 4-ounce portions and we're overfilling. So I'll park that there. I don't know if that rings a bell with you or not. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I got pregnant, so that happened.
Well, that happened.
And
That'll do
um,
it.
so yeah, it caused a lot of weight regain. And after that, I just had a lot of things like it just domino effect of life things happening, including
Life
the
does happen.
pandemic, which was not anything anybody ever expected.
Mm.
So it wasn't like the pandemic made me eat or anything, but it was stressful.
Yeah,
So
of course. Okay, so just so that you know, there's nothing magical about the sleeve or the bypass, right? It's just it's like we built your house differently. It's just smaller. So just getting back to, hey, when I'm eating, not doing more than is designed to fit in that sleeve, which is a half cup. When I say 4 ounces for sleeve, I'm talking quantity, volume, not weight. So you really could go pull out a 4-ounce container or a half cup measuring cup. That is the volume of your meal size. It does not matter what you're eating. So case in point, if we're having pizza, which we probably shouldn't be doing, this probably does not fit in a half cup. Certainly not like this. We have to cut it up into small bite-sized pieces, right? But even then, it's not all going to fit. So a piece of pizza, right, is too big for your area. Just kind of getting back to those visual cues. For bypass, Chris, when they create this pouch, this is actually about 2 ounces or a quarter cup. This is half the size of the sleeve. So it is tiny. And that's why I really like to emphasize, yes, it's tiny. And I need you guys to kind of freak out, right? Go, oh my God, no one told me that. Because once we can accept, okay, this is what I'm getting, then we can understand why we have to eat so small, which also means we have to do it so frequently. Because obviously you can't just eat a little bit and go, okay, I'm good for the day, right? I must only need 100 calories. Yay me. That's not what it's about. Probably in this size, this 2-ounce size, this carries about 100 to 150 calories, depending on what you're eating ultimately. So if you're filling up 5 times a day, and this is, down the road when you're back to solid food, you're going to be getting about 750 to 800 calories, Chris. That's kind of going to be where you stay, okay? For sleeve, which is bigger, this generally will hold around 200 calories. Again, depending on what somebody's choosing to eat. But 200 calories 5 times a day, right? If we're not overfilling our sleeve, is about 1,000 calories. And that's really where the sleeve world lives, is about 1,000 calories a day. Okay. Now, if you're already thinking, that is not very many calories. That is because Chris kind of has that look like, wow, that is not very many calories. How am I going to find my happy place on 800 calories? It takes some work, no doubt, but you need all of those calories. It is possible to do, but you do have to get all of them. And over restricting is unnecessary because we've already surgically created an environment where you should lose weight. We don't need you doing anything else to help. Just make sure you're getting your calories. So all that to say, frequency of eating is really important. Now that we understand, okay, they're surgically putting something ridiculously small inside me, frequency of eating probably has to change. Just stepping out on a limb here, I'm going to guess neither of you eats 5 to 6 times a day.
Yeah.
Chris is like, heck no. One and done.
Usually I eat twice a day
Yeah.
if I'm on a good day, I guess.
Yeah. And, Amber,
I do have protein drink in the morning.
Okay.
And then at lunch and dinner, I have 2 meals later. So
okay.
yeah, it's not, I've tried
Yeah.
to keep the protein going, but it's difficult.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to talk about that. Just where do protein shakes fit in? I mean, they're helpful, but is this really what we want to be doing for the rest of our lives? No. We don't want you living on protein drinks. That's not ideal. We start out very heavily dependent on them, and then we really want to wean off of them so that they're just there for support as we need them. But the frequency of eating is really, really important. So we have to erase some things that we've already allowed our brain to believe. Number one is eating is bad, right? That's why we don't eat often, because we feel like eating is bad. I don't need to eat. I'm too heavy. I'm not perfect. So I must not need these calories. So we get okay with avoiding calories, and we're very comfortable there. And for women, this becomes a big guilt issue for us. If we eat more than like twice a day, we're like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm out of control. I'll never lose my weight. We go down a very dark bunny trail very quickly. I don't know if guys do that, but we do. Guys, it's more functional, right? I'm just gonna eat, I'm good, and I'll eat when I'm hungry again. And if that's at the end of the day, okay. But it's not like you're thinking, ooh, what am I gonna do in 3 hours? Ooh, I wonder where I could stop today and get a really fun protein snack. We're not really thinking about food like that, but I need you to. Because the surgery is about embracing eating regularly, actually, just on a much smaller scale. If you do not fill up regularly, create one of two situations. One is I undereat, so over time I'm actually not going to be able to lose weight. We will see weight loss stall. The surgery will take you so far, but if you continue to over restrict or avoid food, you're not going to be able to continue to lose weight because your body's going to freak out. It's like, I'm looking for calories. Chris ain't giving them to me, so I guess I'm in conserve mode because I don't know what he's doing. So you have to eat to get those calories. When you're eating consistently and regularly, you also don't get over hungry, which means you're not as inclined to over consume. Okay. And now I'm going to carry that into our do's and don'ts, because the size of your stomach is going to determine what you can and can't do. So I'm going to start with the obvious kind of fun stuff that's going away forever. And number one will be drinking straws. Nobody should be using drinking straws ever. And Amber's got that look of like,
No,
really?
I was just
Did you just, well, you're blurred, so I couldn't see it.
like,
Yeah. But thank you for being my little demonstration there. Because you both are going, what? No straws forever. These are not coming back. And there's two reasons this is really important. Number one, back to our talk about sleeve can hold 4 ounces. This is 4 ounces of milk. Bypass, Chris, is half this. Okay. Half this at a time. So if I'm using a straw to drink 4 ounces or 2 ounces of anything, do I really need a straw to do that? No. And if I'm using a straw, am I using it in a tiny little cup like this? No, I'm not. I'm putting it in something big like Amber has, or like this, right? I have no idea how much I'm drinking when I'm using a straw. So straws make it too easy to drink too much too fast. You're already in a position to put more into your area, bypass or sleeve, than it's designed to hold. And if we overfill, right, where's it going to go? If Chris puts more in his bypass than it can hold at one time, where's it going to go? Nowhere good, right? Nowhere good, right? So it's either coming up or it's going down or both. So I always say this, you have 2 exits, right? One to the north and one to the south. And in the event of an overfilling, both exits will be used simultaneously. Okay. So we don't want to put you in a position for that to happen, because that involves what I call urgent bathroom surprise. We are headed to the bathroom urgently. The surprise is you don't make it. So we just don't want to do that. Okay. Water, like I mentioned earlier, is actually absorbed through the stomach pretty rapidly. So Amber, if you were drinking water in that container right there, because I'm sure Chris is thinking, well, how am I going to drink all this water? How am I going to drink all this stuff I'm supposed to be doing? I mean, 2 ounces at a time? What? You
yeah.
can drink rapidly, but just in those increments that your bypass is designed to hold. And you will know after you drink if you're full, because you will feel distended or full. You're just waiting till that feeling goes away. Once you know you're not full, right? When your area is empty, and I'm actually going to use this little, oh, I think I am, this little container right here, this 4-ounce container. If I've put in enough and it's full, I have to give it time to empty or get absorbed. Water will get absorbed. Everything else is going to empty and go somewhere else. But once it's empty, well, I can put something else in there. I'm not at risk for overfilling now. I just only want to put what it can hold. Okay, so that's what we're looking for there. The other thing that happens with straws is anytime we're sucking on a straw, we're also swallowing air. And in a bariatric environment, we've had a surgery, your little area is very sensitive to air. There's nowhere for air to go. So it's either going to come back up, right? So we're burpy all the time, which means content may come with it. If I'm burping and gurgling stuff upwards, well, this is reflux, right? Chronic acid exposure to my esophagus puts me at risk for cancer, let alone makes my life miserable. But, more importantly, damages my esophagus. If the air is swallowed, now it's going to travel the entire distance of the intestines as trapped air. You have gas pains, and they are pretty debilitating. So we just don't want any of that. And that's why straws got to go. So my recommendation is, if you're a straw user, you're done today and these are gone. And they shouldn't come back. So Amber, it's funny because that's the number one thing that creeps back in actually is straws.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, because I did have the sleep surgery, and yes, I am here again. But and not to make Chris like nervous about it, I had surgery through Dr. Kim, who is
Yeah.
no longer practicing.
Oh, I
And
know.
it was like quick. Like after I had the surgery, maybe a year later, he was done. So I didn't have the support and
Support. Yeah.
not smart enough to, or sorry,
That's right.
educated enough about it to go find support at a
Yeah.
different place, and they weren't helpful. So, not to go down that rabbit hole, but I don't even remember, and it's been so long, I don't even remember them telling me don't drink through a straw.
And they probably didn't. And I know the story of Dr. Kim. There were other doctors involved in that whole
Mhm.
debacle. But a lot of the doctors out there, it's not just Dr. Kim, they just
Mhm.
don't put any time and true attention into this piece,
Yeah,
unfortunately. Um, and so we see this, people come back, they're having problems. And it's really not that the sleeve has failed, it's that you just didn't have the right information to work alongside your sleeve. So that's why I was saying earlier, Amber, I think there might even be some tweaks that you probably need to do that might instantly make some things better and
yeah,
maybe allow you to rethink, do I really need a revision or do I just need a refresher?
right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
So just trust me, Chris, based on what Amber has experienced, you just stay away from straws. Even if you see people you know using straws that shouldn't be using straws, ignore them. They're not in their happy place, and you want to be in your happy place. So just no straws. Okay. Okay. No, number two is actually carbonated beverages, all kinds. I'm holding up my little dented, my 7-Up can's getting a little tired. All carbonated beverages. And the way you're going to remember this is bubbly beverages are bad. And I'm talking, this is a forever concept. These are not coming back. So we're talking sodas, diet and regular. We're talking club soda, tonic, sparkling water, mineral water, Topo Chico, um, beer, champagne, Prosecco, hard seltzer, and harder seltzer. If it has bubbles, you cannot have it. And again, that is a forever concept. This is not coming back. Expansive gas inside your body is not a good idea, right? That kind of makes sense. Yeah. All that burping is just going to be propelled with carbonation, and we don't want that. Carbonation, too, if you're, sometimes people are just huge diet soda drinkers, they're kind of addicted to it. But if you're someone who's constantly drinking carbonated beverages, you run the risk also of stretching your sleeve or bypass, enlarging it so that it won't operate the same way. When things expand, they don't expand evenly, right? In a balanced way. It'll be like in some weird, odd shape, which starts to contribute to digestive issues and reflux and things like that. Okay. So no straws, no carbonated beverages. I told you this was going to be fun. Any questions on either of those? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. One final word. You're probably going to have a soda after your surgery. You're probably going to have it with a straw. You're going to be in that Whataburger line. I don't know. And they're going to hand you that cup and you're going to go, oh my God, I totally forgot. And you're not going to die. And that's the problem. If you'll do it accidentally and you'll go, well, that wasn't so bad. What's she talking about? She's crazy. And then you'll start that slippery slope of kind of reincorporating it. And then it will all start to build up. But it starts, even if you don't die and you do it accidentally, just get back to not using them. Okay. Okay. All right. 3 and 4, I'm going to lump together. No caffeine, no alcohol. This is the only thing I talk about today that is actually a temporary concept. Caffeine can come back into the picture if you want it to later. Alcohol could come back down the road. It's better if they don't. However, for the first 6 months after surgery, neither is allowed. No caffeine, no alcohol for 6 months so that the inside of your procedure can heal correctly. Alcohol and caffeine are both really acidic. They can cause irritation or inflammation to the inside lining and give you incredible stomach pain. So we don't want that. So that's why we discourage those. However, caffeine, if you're a caffeine user, you want to be caffeine free before surgery. So I would encourage you to start now if you need to.
I've already started.
Yeah, I would say good because it takes a while to get there.
hmm
hmm
I'm a sweet tea drinker,
Yeah, there
so
you go.
I've really had to cut myself back and watch what I'm doing
Yeah.
because
Well, good.
the withdrawals are rough right now.
They're real. Yeah, the withdrawals are real. Yes. But just as a sidebar, um, under different circumstances, sometimes I talk about stupid calories and how stupid calories are calories that make your meals bigger but not better, right? They're just stupid. They're just there. And sometimes calories in beverages can fall under that category. Not for everybody, but maybe for Chris it does. So just a little mathematical exercise, 100 additional calories every day. It does not matter where they come from, but 100 every day over a year is 10 pounds. So, if we're throwing back up, let's pick on sweet tea, right? Since that's your weakness, that could be 200 or 300 calories a day just in sugar, right? That's just from the tea, maybe more.
Mm.
So just cutting that out alone, that makes a huge difference. You start giving that some time, that's huge. That's going to contribute to weight loss. So good for you. Yeah. Because you kind of go, wow, 100 calories. That's like my tea. That's like extra French fries. That's like a bun on top of a sandwich. That's like fruit. It adds up fast. So if you can find those areas where your stupid calories are creeping in, push them away. It's a huge way to contribute to weight loss without really feeling like you're giving up anything. Yeah. Okay. All right. So caffeine, just remember, is a stimulant. That's why we like it. But it stimulates lots of things. It can stimulate appetite and it can stimulate going to the bathroom. So post-surgery, if you notice, I just get the munchies when I have caffeine. I just want to have a little salty something with it or a little sweet something with it. That's caffeine talking, asking you to eat extra calories you don't need. So if that's your struggle, that's another good reason to stay away from caffeine. Going to the bathroom, it could go either way. If you find that caffeine puts you in the bathroom in a bad way, then caffeine is not your friend. It's going on your no-no list. But if it helps you go to the bathroom in a good way, maybe caffeine is your friend. So we'll use it if we can use it. But if it's working against you, just put it on the no-no list and let it go. Okay. Alcohol. Amber, do you drink?
Not really. I'll have like very few. It'll be maybe once every 2 months.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
have a little drink.
So I don't know if you've had any alcohol since your surgery, but when alcohol, remember I just said, is absorbed through the lining of your stomach. So when we make the stomach smaller, it can actually change the way you absorb alcohol. It can make it much more rapid or direct. So, we'll pick on Chris just because he looks like he's a good sport. If Chris knows that he can throw back a couple of beers and it's all good, well, he's not throwing back beers anymore because they're carbonated. But regardless, his pace would be drastically different after surgery. He may find that 2 sips of something is all he can do instead of 2 entire somethings. So alcohol can be very, very, very different. I call them regrettable Instagrammable moments, right? Those things where, wow, I thought my ride was going this way and instead it went this way. And I don't
Yeah.
remember it, but everybody else seems to. So just be careful. And again, just wait 6 months before trying to bring those things back in. Okay. Okay. No chewing gum. That's a no-no. And no gummy candy or gummy vitamins. Anything really chewy and sticky is not your friend. Chewy and sticky in your tiny little tummy means it needs a lot of acid to break down, and you don't make a lot of acid. So it potentially hangs out and creates an opportunity for other things to stick to it, which can over time create a blockage. And that would be a surgical intervention for that. So stay away from sticky stuff. And then I think that's all my no-nos. The last thing on the list is actually a do. How you eat and drink is going to change, but I need it to be entirely separate. So anything we're drinking as a beverage is going to happen entirely separate from when we're eating. Anything solid. I'm just holding up green beans as my universal solid. If we're eating, that is all we're doing. And then we're waiting an appropriate amount of time before we're reaching for something to drink. This is a forever concept. Many times this does not stay a forever concept, and people find that they start combining their solids and their liquids. If you do that, what will happen is you will find that you experience more gas, bloating, and reflux, and you could be overfilling your area and enlarging it. Okay. So the thought behind this is, let's pretend this is your bypass or your sleeve. This is all it can hold. 2 ounces for Chris, 4 ounces for Amber, we think. When Chris eats whatever it is he's eating, right, he has filled up his area. He can't put anything in there anyway because it's too full. He's going to wait until this turns into a liquid and this gets emptied into his intestines. He doesn't feel full anymore. Once he's empty, he can reach for something liquid to drink. He's going to drink whatever he's allowed to drink, but he's filled up his bypass again. He's going to wait until the liquid is not in his bypass anymore. He'll know that because he won't feel full. Once it's empty, he can put something else in there again, one or the other, but not both.
Do we have to wait 30 minutes before eating after you've drank something and
No,
then 30 minutes after you've eaten to drink something.
yeah, that's kind of the universal rule, right?
Okay.
But what they're trying to convey is wait an appropriate amount of time so that you know it's safe to put something else in here. Think of it this way. This is a cat, this is a dog. They cannot come into contact inside your area or bad things happen, right? I should really say this is a cat and a cat. I think they fight more. But we want these to be entirely separate. What we're eating and how complicated it is and how much pre-digestion it takes will determine how long we're going to have to wait. 30 minutes is about the longest you should have to wait for something this tiny to get cleared, right, out of your area. If we're waiting an hour, if Chris says, dang, I'm going to Bob's, I'm having steak for my birthday, and he's going to figure out very quickly that, wow, it takes steak a really long time to break down and get out of my bypass. I'm still full 2 hours later. The longer your solid food stays in here, the longer you have to wait to drink. It is not going to work to go, well, I'll just take a sip and, push it through. Oh, it'll push it through. But you won't get any of the benefit of what you ate. Nutritionally, that's gone because you just headed to the bathroom to spew it out in there. So 30 minutes is the longest you should have to wait. But if you still feel full and you've waited 30 minutes, you're not ready to drink yet. And you're going to make a note and say, wow, that's not a compatible food for my system right now. That's taking way too long. Which that starts to drive the bus, right, towards decisions that involve softer textured foods, things that chew very easily, things that digest very easily, so that we're able to drink more rapidly. So we eat, we wait, and then we drink, and then we wash, rinse, repeat, okay? Practice this now. Chris, if this is most people don't do this naturally, right? We're not like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. I do not eat and drink together. Most people are like, no, I'm like a bite and a sip, a bite and a sip. So you have to practice this now just to get your brain okay with it. Because it sounds kind of bizarre, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, and I will say when I had my sleep surgery, that would be like the one thing that anybody I was around would notice first. Like, why aren't you drinking? You're gonna choke if you don't have a drink with you. What if you choke and you don't have anything around? Like, I got all of it.
Yeah.
Because it's not a normal.
Everybody thinks they're trying to help you, but you're like, stay out of my business.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The same with like, why can't you have a soda? What does that mean? What, like, all up in your business.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, brings up a good point. Everybody's different with how involved outsiders are in what you're doing. So, again, Chris's family may not know he's having surgery. He may not want anybody to know he's having surgery. Amber may have decided, it's my business, nobody else's. But to Amber's point, you're going to be doing things that may draw attention or invite questions that are not welcome. So you might just want to have your answer kind of canned and just ready to use. Oh my gosh, Chris, I just noticed you're barely eating at all. What's going on? I mean, do you really want to sit there and go, oh, I just had bariatric surgery, right? Don't overshare, right? You don't want to be in a position where you overshare because you weren't prepared. So you might just say, no, I'm just paying attention to my health and just trying to make good decisions. Oh, okay. Just kind of shut it down without inviting more questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know. If you have a spouse or something, you might play off of them because people will ask, or the waiter may say, oh, well, why, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, just for health reasons, I need to do it this way. That's all. For health reasons, I'm doing it this way. If you're saying something, we're missing it. I don't think.
I know that
Okay,
I'm
good.
gonna have a lot of nosy people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was wondering how I was going to have to word that, and that's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Because I know it's coming. When I have the surgery, when I'm eating my portions the right way, there's going to be people asking questions, and there's no way around that.
Yeah. And you can just say, well, thank you for asking. I've just really been trying to make positive choices that are good for my health. And, if they're going to be extra nosy, you might just go, I really can't talk about this today. Just find a way to say, I'm really not interested in talking about this today. Thank you, though. Saying no with a smile. It's hard to do, but you can do it. You can. Mm-hmm. Okay. Any questions over the no-nos? Straws, sodas, caffeine, alcohol, gummies, chewing gum, no eating and drinking together.
None right now. No.
Okay. Okay. Practice it. And by practice, I mean this. You don't have to wait 30 minutes, Chris, right now, because you have your full-size stomach. You're a regular guy right now. But just do the whole eat what you're going to eat, and then just wait. Wait like 4 minutes, right? Set a timer. It'll feel like an eternity, but just wait so that you're getting your body used to, I do this, and then we wait. And then I can drink that unstrawed, uncarbonated beverage and drink whatever it is you're going to drink, but then wait again. So there's always this pause after ingesting something. Okay. All right. And then Amber, is that something you need to get back to, or is that something you're still really comfortable and good about doing?
I need to get back to it on that. It's crept back in a little bit.
Yeah. And that may contribute to reflux also. And like we said earlier, overfilling, which means you just start to creep in a little more calories than your body's really used to getting. And it can translate to weight gain or stalled weight loss.
Okay.
Okay. So 5 times a day fill-ups. And again, if we're doing that, that kind of naturally puts you right where you're supposed to be for your procedure. If you're not overfilling your area, but you are eating, it's probably going to be about every hour and a half, right? You have kids, Chris?
No.
Oh, lucky.
Thinking that. Lucky you.
Only from the
Nervous.
nuisance standpoint of it, that's all. But you've been around toddlers, right? I mean, we've been
Yes.
around toddlers. Okay. Basically, both of you are getting a toddler-sized stomach. Okay. So you're going to be eating very similarly to a toddler, and the frequency with which you eat is going to be very similar to a toddler. If you've been around a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, you know they're hungry. It feels like all freaking day long. Just like, we just did this. It's only been an hour. And then they just take a few bites and then they run away. And they're like, I'm good, I'm good. And we're like, oh my gosh, you don't even eat. You have to rewire your brain. They have tiny tummies and they have healthy appetite cycles. They eat, they stop when they're full, they come back when they need some more. And that's what you're going to be doing. Tiny little tummy. Eat till you're full, wait. When that little hunger signal comes back, it's okay. You already used up those tiny little calories. It's time to do it again. Okay. So congratulations, you are now 4 years old. You know, if it just helps you kind of get it in your brain, like someday when it feels insane, you'll be like, oh, that's right. I'm a 4-year-old. Okay, it all makes sense now. All right, let's talk pre-surgery diet then. When your surgery or your revision, Amber, in your case, is on the books, when you have a date, you're going to back up 14 days from that date. And that's when you'll start your pre-surgery diet. Amber, unless Lone Star tells you something else. And I actually forgot to tell you guys, Chris, you're using Body Volve and Amber is with Lone Star. So you're both using different doctors. The recommendations should be pretty identical. But Lone Star may have a different pre-surgery diet length. I'm not sure. It's generally 2 weeks. With a revision, sometimes they may give you a little bit of a break. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's about the same.
Okay. So let's assume it's 2 weeks. So when you start your pre-surgery diet, both of you, on that day, you will also discontinue taking any vitamins or supplements that you take electively. I'm not talking about prescription medications. If you take something that's prescribed by a doctor, if it needs adjusting, they will tell you specifically. But if you take a multivitamin or you take an iron or a CoQ10 or you're on a fish oil, like for blood thinning, we want to take a break from all of those elective supplements. Okay. Did you have a question, Amber? Or are you good?
Oh, no, I'm writing.
Okay. Well, just the way you looked in the camera, I thought maybe I caught you something.
No,
okay.
Thank you.
So, so no vitamins during your pre-surgery diet. That's okay. We're letting your blood kind of wash out. And that way it's ready to behave normally when you have your surgery. No surprises. Basically, you'll be doing about a 600 calorie diet. It is fairly high protein for those calories, and it typically is mostly liquids. I believe Lone Star does the same thing that Body Volve does, which is it's basically 2 protein shakes a day and 1 solid meal. That's kind of how we get there. The protein drinks it doesn't have to be this way. This is just kind of the easiest way to do it. The protein drinks can be any brand you like, right? We're all familiar with Premier. Maybe you've seen Muscle Milk. Core Power is very popular, right? If we've seen this brand at
I
all.
like that one. That
Yeah,
one's good.
there's protein waters, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Ensure has a max protein, totally fine. Whatever product you choose, it just needs to work for you. Amber can probably sit here and say, I love Premier. I'll make it up. I love Premier birthday cake. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just making that flavor up. And Chris may go, that's totally disgusting. I'm a muscle milk
Mhm.
guy. I just like chocolate. Just give me chocolate. Doesn't matter to me. It just needs to work for you. So test these products because some are delicious and some are disgusting. And everybody's opinion is going to be different. What you got, Chris? Do you know something
I've
disgusting?
tried several,
Yeah.
not recently, but I've tried several, and it was a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Some were really good, and some were absolute garbage that I wouldn't even touch with the 10-foot pole again. But
Right. So things you should know to kind of help you maybe gauge, is this going to work for me or not? They're all artificially sweetened. And they're all artificially sweetened in different ways. Some are just, I don't remember if this one's just sucralose or not, but some are just a single ingredient, right? Sucralose, which is the generic form of Splenda. If you see sucralose, we're just saying Splenda. So if you already know I hate Splenda, then you're not going to like anything with sucralose in it. Okay. We don't even need to try it. It's done. Sometimes it's sucralose and some other things because sucralose by itself kind of has a bite. So they'll start combining other sweeteners to kind of make it a little more normal. You may see aspartame in there, right? That's NutraSweet. You may see saccharin, not much anymore. You may see asulfame K. If you see that weird word, that's an artificial sweetener. But you may start to correlate, hey, the things that are stevia, I don't mind. The things that have sucralose, oh my gosh, those are disgusting. If that's your scenario, then just start label reading and don't buy things with sucralose. Or maybe stevia is your thing you don't like. Don't buy things with stevia, but you won't know till you taste. The protein drinks are full of amino acids, which are notorious for causing diarrhea and stomach cramping. They're also full of the artificial sweeteners, which are notorious for causing diarrhea and stomach cramping. So when we combine them together, we're doubling the chances that your stomach is not going to be happy. And then when we ask you to drink a lot of them for a long time, we're really, really increasing the odds that your stomach is not going to be happy. So if you're experiencing any of that, then protein drinks are not your friend. It's better to know that now and then trying to figure this out after surgery. That's why I say taste test a lot and see if you have any issues and just start, weeding them out. If you would rather make your own, you can. You could just find a shaker bottle. I like a wand mixer actually, so that you can really kind of get in there and mix things up, but a shaker bottle's fine. If you would rather use something a little more normal tasting, use something like coconut milk or almond milk or soy milk, right? Just an alternative, mildly sweetened. It doesn't have to be unsweetened, but it could be mildly sweetened. And then use an unflavored, unsweetened protein powder. So no artificial sweeteners, no birthday cake, no creme brulee, no salted caramel, just naked, right? When I put that in here with coconut milk specifically, now it's just mildly coconutty, nothing over the top. If I put a splash of pineapple juice in there, like just a tiny bit, I have a little bit of a tropical leaning, but no artificial sweeteners, and my mouth doesn't feel like I just shot it to the moon with sugar, even though it's not sugar. You know what I'm saying? So that's one way to do it and maybe not spend $3 a container because these are kind of getting pricey. Okay. Have you tried any of the protein powders ever?
I did on some of my weight loss journey.
Yeah.
And
Some of them are
they,
nasty too.
yeah, some of them are really nasty, and I had a really good one, but I couldn't take the creatine and everything else because I was working out too, and I was trying to fuel my muscles,
Yeah.
and it made me sick more often than not. So I had to completely quit that one. But it tasted good,
Okay.
other than the side effects of the other additives.
So good point. So something like this, and there are other brands. I just happen to have an empty of Isopure. There's nothing else in here. It's not even loaded with vitamins or creatine or any other additives. It's just amino acids. That's it. So probably less likely to cause any stomach upset, but it still needs help mixing. Protein powders do not like to be wet. The minute they get wet, right, they clump up, which is
Hmm.
why you can't stir it with a whisk. You have to shake it or use a blender to really get it completely dissolved. Isopure is pretty good. CanadianProtein.com also has a really great protein product, and they have a lot of flavors as well as unflavored, unsweetened. But I kind of lean towards this. Make your own
Hmm.
because you can kind of vary it up, but do not add fruit. Please don't fall into, hey, I'm going to throw in bananas and strawberries and blueberries and, make it all healthy with fruit. I don't want you to do that because fruit is actually just carbohydrate, right? It's just sugar. And one of the points of this diet is a low carbohydrate intake. So kind of back to the beginning where I said it's 2 protein drinks and 1 solid meal. What we're doing with those numbers is we're putting your protein intake around 80 grams a day. That's kind of your goal. So on average, 2 protein drinks a day will give you about 50 grams of protein, right? And then that extra, the solid meal that you'll be eating each day, that's going to be a protein-based meal. It's going to take you the rest of the way. That's how we're getting to 80 grams of protein. That's only 320 calories. So the carbohydrate side, we need it, but we don't need much of it. We're going to keep that around 60 grams a day or less. That's about 240 calories. So the 240 plus 320, you can see we're still not very many. I mean, it's barely 600 calories. We're just barely getting there. There is going to be a little fat in the diet naturally, so that's going to take us kind of the rest of the way. But that's how we get around those 600 to 800 calories is through those 2 drinks and then that 1 solid meal. But the carb intake is the most important part of the pre-surgery diet. We restrict the carbohydrate not to make you lose weight or because it's evil, but because when we do that, what it does is it forces your liver to compensate by giving up what it stores to give you the rest of what you're looking for. And as it gives up what it has stored, it's getting smaller. So it's how we shrink the liver, it's how we shrink the pancreas so that everything is tiny when you get ready to have your surgery. So on the carb front, if we're making smoothies at home and we're, pumping them full of fruit, in this instance, that is not working for you. It's working against you because it's going to put your carb intake way too high and your liver will not be small. Okay.
Do like if you don't want to do a protein shake or a pre-made protein shake, can you get the Oikos? Like I don't remember, it's completely zero. It's like 0 carbs, 0 sugars, and it's vanilla flavored, but it's like a little 3-ounce, I don't know, it's small, like yogurt package, and put protein powder in it and mix it. I've had it that way before and it was really good. I
If you
mean,
can get
not
it to
like
mix,
you.
if you can get it to mix correctly, yeah,
Mhm.
that's not a bad option.
Okay.
It's always just
Or
it's always going to be about taste. Do you like it? If you like it, then this
mhm.
is a win. And number 2, do the artificial sweeteners bother you? And if they don't, then we're good to go. That's
Okay.
a really good one. So those are your numbers. 80 grams of protein, whatever you're doing. If you're hitting 80 or more, that's good. If we're keeping that carb intake 60 or less, that's fine. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Questions on the drinks or the liquids, kind of what we're looking for there. Okay. I had shown this one a minute ago, the protein waters. This is just one version, obviously, but Gatorade has a protein water. It'll say like Gatorade Zero with protein or something like that. These are fine too, even though they're colored, right? It could be blue or green or peach. They are considered clear liquids. So the definition of clear is not colorless. It just means, can I see through it? Does it let light through? And this one does. This is not a clear liquid, right? It doesn't let any light through. So clear liquids are nice to identify because you're going to be on clear liquids for a little bit after surgery. But if we can have a clear liquid that has protein, this is more helpful than water or chicken broth, right? That has no protein. So look for these. These are nice. They don't have as much protein as these, the milk-based ones. This is going to have about 15 grams of protein per container. This can have 25, 26, 42, right? These can go way up. But taste test these as well. It's just nice to have an option to the milky drinks. But these are nice too. Another thing you can look for is kind of protein shots. Have you seen products like this? Yeah, Body Fortress has some that are, yeah, have you guys seen them?
I've
I've,
not.
I've seen some, they were, I mean, it's been a long time, but they were not, they didn't taste good.
Yeah.
The
So
ones that my friend had did not taste good, but I don't know about that frog fuel one.
So to be fair, amino acids, when they're in their simple state, like amino acids, they smell funny and they taste funny. That's why these drinks are always incredibly sweetened and flavored with these ridiculous things to cover up the amino acids, right? But this is basically like a liquid jello, if you will. It has 15 grams of protein in it. It's sweetened with stevia. Technology has come a long way. These do taste way better than they used to like 15 or 20 years ago. But they're convenient because you can just pop the top. You can drink it just like this. You can add it to a different beverage that, maybe complements the flavor. But this is easier to carry with me than this, right? If I'm out and about and I just need to have stuff stuffed in my glove box or my pockets or my purse, this is so much easier to do. And I can figure out how to get it down later as opposed to taking a lot of these. Items like this are they're more expensive because they're more sophisticated, which means in the grocery store, when you're in the supplement section, you might look up for those types of products because up is where the more expensive stuff tends to be, right? The bottom of the shelves, that's where the cheaper stuff is. Middle is kind of where we all live. It's the popular stuff. So look up when you're in the grocery stores and you might find some products that you've missed before just because they're a little pricier. Okay. Right. Liquicell is another one. That's a brand that's been around forever. It comes in a pump bottle, lots of flavors. I can't remember if it's spelled Liqua, C-E-L-L or just C-E-L. I should know this. It's been around forever, but it's a very easy to use protein pump supplement. Okay. Your solid meal that you can do one time a day if you would rather, as opposed to drinking another one of these. It's pretty simple. It's basically a caveman meal, right? It's going to be a big piece of meat, big piece of protein. I don't care what it is. Just stay away from beef. We're trying to keep it kind of, easy to digest, and beef's a little rough. So think chicken, fish, pork would be okay. Eggs, beans, anything like that. But we want a 5 to 6 ounce portion of protein here. Amber, it's going to be a little different for you because you already have your sleeve. So you're going to eat what's appropriate for your sleeve. But we want, a nice dose of protein at this solid meal. The sides that can go with it can be anything you want as long as it's nothing you really, really want. You know what I mean? No potatoes, no bread, no rice, no pasta. But you can do non-starchy vegetables, right? Green beans, broccoli, cauliflower, salad, if you prefer that. Those are fine. We're just keeping this meal pretty low in carbs and pretty high in protein. And that's it. That's your pre-surgery diet. 2 drinks of your choosing. You make it, you buy it, doesn't matter to me, so that you're getting about 50 grams of protein through those 2. And then a solid meal if you want. If you don't want the meal, that's fine. You're just going to need to drink another drink so that we're getting that 80 grams of protein. Okay. Any questions over pre-surgery diet?
Um, I'm a hunter, so I eat venison and lower fatty foods like that. Is that a good option, or is
Fine.
that going to be in kind of like the beef category where it's harder to digest?
No, I don't consider venison as tough as meat. You know what I'm talking about, right? When you have like a burger, I mean, you just
Yeah,
that
yeah.
burger just sits heavy. Yeah,
It
that's because
sits
it
there
is.
forever before it
Yes.
ever does anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's because it is. But you don't feel that way with venison, or some of those other games because they're just easier to digest. So, I have no problem with that at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, no, have at it. It's good for you and it's good meat. Yum. You have any deer meat you need to get rid of? Could you call me, please?
I'm kind of short right now. I've
Ah!
been getting too much on this year.
Nobody wants to share their venison. It's terrible. All right, then let's go ahead and move on into post-surgery diet. And we'll just kind of do a high-level overview here because Amber's already been through it, and Chris will talk about it again in our subsequent visits.
Okay.
But basically, when you get home from surgery, week 1 is kind of the most critical for you just to survive it, right? And we just want to make sure that there's no complications. I call week 1 sip and survive because that's really all you're going to be doing. You're going to be sipping tiny amounts of liquids and just trying to get through the first week. We're not taking any vitamins week 1. We are just sipping and surviving. And by that, I mean probably sipping out of something very small, like a little liquid medicine measuring cup, Dusty shot glass collection is more festive and fun, but whatever's smaller than what your area is designed to hold. So even though sleeve, Amber, if you end up staying with sleeve, that's designed to hold 4 ounces, it probably won't. I don't know. You might be able to do 4 ounces right away, to be honest with you. If they change you to bypass, like Chris is going to have, that's where you may have to go way down in your quantity. We said the bypass can hold 2 ounces pretty comfortably, but right after surgery, it's too new to do that much. So we're talking an ounce. I mean, it literally is tiny like this. And you're going to be sipping from here so that you don't overfill here. Okay. So we are sipping constantly. Your goal is ultimately 64 ounces a day. After surgery, that's too much. You're not going to be able to do it right away. So we're going to target 32 ounces for that first week, starting out. And it's going to be done in little increments of about 8 ounces an hour, right? We're just going to keep breaking it down into manageable quantities. So if we're able to do an ounce to 2 ounces every 15 minutes in an hour, that should get us to 8 ounces. So with bypass, it may be an ounce every 5 to 6 minutes, right? Just doing it as often as we can without feeling uncomfortable. But the goal is 8 ounces an hour. Okay. It might be water. It might be chicken broth. It might be your clear protein drink, whatever is comfortable for you that first week. Your protein isn't even going to be a concern. We just want to keep you hydrated. Okay. So that's why week 1 is called Sip and Survive, because you are literally just sipping constantly. And dealing with, any pain related to surgery, gas, all those things. That's the survival part, just getting through the first 7 days. Okay. When we get, I should say this. Body Volve is 1 week. The first week, Chris, is clear liquids only. Okay. So you may want to lean a little more onto some of the protein-based waters or high bone broth, things that maybe have a little bit of protein in them. Water is fine as well, but clear liquids only. Amber, I'm assuming Lone Star is 1 week of clear liquids. I do have some doctors who like 2 weeks of clear liquids, but I'm going to guess they're okay with 1,
Okay.
especially as a revision. When you get to the end of week 1, and we're ready to move into week 2, then you can go ahead and graduate back into your milk-based drinks so that we're using more of those protein drinks or making your own protein drinks, whatever's working for you at that time. Let me go back to this week 1 part because I forgot one part. So day 1, when you get home from surgery, you're full of IV fluids. You're pretty hydrated, forced fourth hydration, right? You are not going to dehydrate in 24 hours. So you get some grace on the first day home. But day 2, where it's really all you, we need you hitting those 32 ounces. So you're going to have to stay awake. You're going to have to make it happen. Day 3 needs to be more like 40 ounces. Day 4 needs to be 48 ounces, and so on. So that by the end of week 1, you should have built up to roughly 64 ounces of fluids, not just water, but fluids. That's how we get there nice and gradually, okay? When you complete week 1, you should be able to graduate from these, so we don't need these anymore, and you're able to drink just your normal, whatever your normal portion, your 2 ounces or 4 ounces is going to be, okay? Do not stick to these. I've had people do that. I'm like, no, silly. Can't live on those. This is just to help us build tolerance until your sleeve or bypass is healed and comfortable with taking in more quantity. Okay. And then week 2, more of the same, but with more complicated beverages. Okay. If you have a day where this isn't working for you, that's fine. Just take a step back and go to something that does work for you. It's not always linear, right? Okay. And then just to point out, because I know, Amber, you said you like the Core Powers.
Yes.
Yeah, these are lactose free. So if lactose is an issue or becomes an issue, these are actually really nice to try out. They do taste pretty normal. I do like
It's
these a
like
lot.
chocolate milk, if you like chocolate milk.
Yeah, exactly. And this is actually one of the
Yeah.
higher ones. This one's 42
Oh, okay.
grams. I didn't pull my strawberry out, but normally they have about 26 grams of protein. But just because it's lactose free, I'll just point out, doesn't mean it's carbohydrate free. And in fact, going back to the muscle milk, even though these are artificially sweetened and it'll say 0 sugar, right? Which it does say, I can go look at the label and say, yeah, there's no sugar. but there is sucralose and acesulfame K and some other things. But why is there carbs on the label? There's 11 grams of carbs in this. Where's the carb coming from? There's no sugar. Milk, right? It's a milk-based product. It has milk sugar in it. That's already in here. They didn't add it. That's why they can say 0 sugar. We didn't add anything, but it's already in here. So your drinks probably will have a little bit of carbohydrate in them. Just keep track of it. Your budget is 60. This is not a problem. It's just not 0. This one is lactose free, right? But this one still has carbs on the label. It has 9 grams of carbs. Why? It's artificially sweetened. There's no sugar in here, and there's no lactose. There's no lactose because they've broken it down. But that sugar, those calories that contribute from the lactose, they're still in here. It's just in a way that you're not sick from drinking it. So check the labels. Just make sure you know, okay, I'm getting 9, 10 grams maybe per drink. So if I'm having 3 of these a day, I'm probably getting about 30 grams of carbs. Premier protein is usually around 2 grams of carbs. So they're much, much lower. But I just want to point out, it's not that they don't have any, it's that they have a lot less. Okay. All right. Week 2 is what we call all liquids are okay. Full liquids. If it's liquid, you can drink it. Just no chunks, no lumps, no bumps. Which means if you're in the mood for cream of chicken soup, you can do it, but you have to puree it so that it's all one texture. No chunks, no lumps, no bumps. We don't want to stimulate your area to produce any juices for digestion. We're just trying to keep it simple and let it heal. Okay. Okay. That's week 2. So week 1 is clear liquids only. Week 2 is full liquids. We're sipping, 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 trying to get those 64 ounces of liquids every day. When we're kind of wrapping up week 2, we should be feeling pretty good by now. And now we do want to be hitting that protein goal. Things that you're choosing should actually contribute significantly to your protein. So if 80 grams is still our goal, and it is, and we're using things like this is 14 ounces. Chris can drink 2 ounces at a time, right? He has to drink 2 ounces, wait till it empties, maybe a few minutes, and then he can drink 2 more. Wait till it empties, he can drink 2 more. Ooh, I'm only a third of the way through the bottle. You see how it's going to take Chris a long time to get through a bottle when he can only drink 2 ounces at a time? And he's thirsty for other things, like maybe some water. Because I just don't want to drink this. I might drink water. Or I might want some pho, right? I've got some awesome bone broth. I'm going to do that. But I need to get 2 of these in a day. So it's this constant working, chipping away at it, right? That's why I lead with, how many times a day do you eat? Because if you're only used to doing this once, you're going to be doing this all day long. Okay. It's different. Okay. Any questions on that? Chris is like, oh. What do you do professionally, Chris?
I work at Tyson Foods. So
Ah, are you
yeah,
are you on a line? Are you limited like what you have access to? Or is this
I
going to be
am
challenging?
quality control.
Okay. Oh, very nice. So you kind of are limited potentially.
Yeah.
You're going to be in environments where you can't just be popping the top off things and throwing things back, right?
It happens in the office or on my break time, and that's it.
Okay. All right. So,
But I will have to make time to step away,
yes.
get my intake, and then come back.
Yes, exactly. Good time to start practicing this now, right? Just trying it all on for size. What does that work day look like? What if I'd already had my surgery? How would my day be different? And try working towards that goal of prioritizing you, because you're probably in an environment where the day gets to dictate what you do, and you're okay with that. But now,
Of course.
yeah, I always tell people, do you work with smokers or anybody been around smokers, right? Or is anybody a smoker? Maybe one of you smokes. I don't know. Do you know a smoker who skips a smoke break? No. And nobody questions it. We're like, no, of course not. It's nicotine, must have it. Think of yourself as a smoker, but it's more about hydration and calories for you. It's not optional. You have to have it. Yeah. And you can just tell people, I'm going on my smoke break. They won't question you. Anyway, so that's the liquid phase, clear and then full. And then it'll be that slow progression. Amber, this is probably very familiar. You'll dabble with pureed foods for a couple of days just to make sure your texture is being received well. And then it'll be off to the races with soft, solid, protein-based foods. And we're talking foods that are mushy, very easy to chew. If you swallowed it accidentally, you wouldn't choke on it. That kind of soft. And it's all about protein, and you're going to stay there for a few weeks. Anytime we're introducing solids, we recognize that ultimately we want to live on solid food, right? We don't want to live on protein drinks. But how do we get from protein drinks to solid food? It is a slow transition. So just because we have a bite of chicken or a bite of fish or a little bit of an egg doesn't mean, woohoo, I don't have to drink my drink today, because a bite basically has no protein. But it is introducing your area to the concept of digestion, right? Participating in breaking food down. So until you're able to eat about 5 to 6 ounces of food protein, you are still very dependent on your supplements to help you get there. Long term, I think you'll be using about one of these a day. It's just really hard to get 80 grams of protein from food. Okay. So Chris, we'll walk through the progression, kind of how slowly that happens in your subsequent visits. But Amber, do you have any questions on what that progression looks like?
No, I don't have any questions right now.
Okay. Anytime we're eating, there is a rotation to how we would prefer you to eat. We want you consuming your protein calories first. So for the first couple of weeks, when you're bringing solids back in, and let's say we're just very happy with salmon, it's really setting well with us, that's great. We're going to eat salmon. But eventually, probably around week 4, we're going to start pulling in vegetables and then some of those starchier carbohydrates. So what we want to do is eat the protein first, eat whatever is not the protein, but not starchy second. And then we're going to eat whatever is the starch third. So whether that's a potato or a pasta or a rice, it's always going to be consumed last. And whatever your food choices are, whatever your family's having for dinner, your portion, whatever it is of all those foods, needs to fit in your area. So if that's 4 ounces, it's this. If it's 2 ounces, it's half of this. And that's why the food needs to be chopped into bite-sized pieces so that we can get parts of all the foods, but in appropriate sized pieces. Okay. And that's where the toddler concept comes back in. How would you feed your toddler? Well, you would cut it into bite-sized pieces, right? And your food would be really tender and soft and easy to chew. That's you. There are plenty of people who comment, Chris, that meat, especially chicken, can feel very dry and very sticky when they swallow. I have a couple of theories behind why that is. Don't really know for sure, but moistness with food can be really important. And chopping, mincing, grinding proteins especially is helpful so that they don't have that sensation. Not everybody has that, but it's not uncommon to hear it. So chop, 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 chew, 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 and then don't drink. If you feel like your food is dry, then you want to add moisture to it, like a condiment, fat-free mayonnaise, a dressing, maybe a gravy, something so it's not swimming in a liquid, but that it's wet. Pureed baby food is actually a really nice idea here. If I'm having chicken, because my spouse says we got to have chicken, I'm going to chop it up, and I'm like, ugh, it's dry chicken. I can't do this. Add pureed baby food chicken to it. It's chicken flavor. I mean, it's chicken, but it'll make it moist and still feel like it tastes like adult food. Okay. When we talked earlier about solids and liquids needing to be separated, I do want to emphasize there are some foods that are both, and you need to be on the lookout for them. Cold cereal is a good example. That's a solid swimming in a liquid. You shouldn't do that. It needs to be separated, which means you probably don't want the cereal. Or you could do cereal and yogurt. But we want to separate those things out or just stop doing those. Soup can actually be one of the confusing ones here. If we're doing vegetable beef stew, that's solids and liquids, right? Gumbo, chowder. So we're straining those liquids off so that we're eating the solids of the soup, maybe doing the broth separately. What you may figure out is that the broth doesn't really have any nutritional value for you. It's not contributing protein, and you're thirsty. So you may want to eat the soup solids, but then go ahead and have something to drink. But just watch out for that. That can send you to the bathroom in a hurry, and you'll go, what happened? Oh, that's right, solid and a liquid. Okay, questions or comments on that? Or Amber, have you ever experienced that?
No, I really haven't. I didn't have a lot of issues with
Good.
the surgery. I know that sounds cliche, but I mean, it was hard, don't get me wrong. But I pureed like chicken salad. I used the fat-free mayo and chunks of chicken and like
Yeah,
the canned chicken,
yeah,
and just put it in a blender and pureed it. And that was like one thing that I went, that or tuna
yeah.
were my go-tos for a while.
Okay.
If I did have a question though, if I do go to the bypass, I've read that um there's a higher chance of dumping syndrome, which is, I guess, the like if you have any kind of high fat or high in sugar, it's going to cause like diarrhea immediately.
Yeah, so
If that,
the term dumping syndrome actually refers to something that happens on the inside, but it can produce evidence on the outside like diarrhea. So really dumping is about a drastic and sudden drop in blood sugar. And so what can happen is if you eat something, and I'm trying to say it carefully because sometimes you don't know something's going to have the effect. There really is this getting to know the new you phase where you'll do something and you'll go like, never again. That I did not see that coming. I should not do that again. And other times you'll eat something and like this is not going to work. And it's fine. So dumping syndrome is when you eat something and then your body rushes to address what you just ate and just floods the area with fluid, right? Gastric juices. And then there's this rapid drop in blood sugar. So you feel sweaty and cold and clammy and gross, and you want to throw up and have diarrhea all at the same time. That is dumping syndrome. But it's more about the drop in blood sugar. It's like this rapid consumption and just everything cascades into a disaster.
okay.
Sometimes we know what foods trigger that, and sometimes foods can just trigger that, and it catches us by surprise. So that is why we do want to be careful with not overfilling because that can trigger dumping syndrome. I call it urgent bathroom surprise because I think it sounds nicer. Um, or combining solids and liquids, right? Because when we do that, the liquid basically acts like a toilet bowl flush, right? If I eat and drink at the same time, it's like your system freaks out. It just doesn't know how to multitask. And it goes, I don't know what to do. And it just goes, bleh. And suddenly urgent bathroom surprise, right? Because the liquids just, they win. They push everything through very quickly. And so yes, to your point, I don't know that bypass is more susceptible to it. It's weird because when we go back to how bypass is done, they create this pouch, but it goes into the stomach, although yours is already reduced in size, Amber, but Chris's isn't. So he has a full-size stomach that this little bitty food is going to move through. You probably, Amber, are at more risk because you have less equipment to mitigate size or fat content or fat load of your meals. But yes, super fatty, greasy things typically can trigger that. I always refer to it as the extremes. So you bring up a really good point. Your sleeve and your bypassed areas, they really like boring and bland. That's where they're the happiest. And when we go extreme, as in, ooh, that's a really sweet food, that's a really rich food, that's a very tough food, a very crunchy food, very spicy food, anything that's very fill in the blank, typically will produce a very strong response in you. So it's the whole, I haven't had a donut in forever. And we can even just think about a donut. And Chris, I'm not kidding. Your bypassed area may actually cramp at the thought of it. That's your body letting you know, bad idea. Don't do it. Those are not phantom pangs. Those are real pains. So listen, or your mouth will salivate in a weird way where you feel like, oh, I'm nauseous. I just the thought of that food lets me know I shouldn't have it. Those are all legitimate feedback loops that your body's giving you. So please listen. But yes, seasoning will need to be bland and you'll need to work your way back up to a more robust flavor profile. And then you absolutely want to look out for the extremes. Anything super greasy or fatty, probably not a good idea. Super spicy or spiceful, like Indian food, very spiceful, not necessarily spicy. Ooh, who knows what that could do, right? So boring and bland is your safe space, and then tread carefully if we're going beyond that. Good rule of thumb is to only do things that you've done at home first before you do them in public. Yeah, right. Practice your show at home before you take it on the road. So Indian food is my favorite example because I love Indian food, but I don't live in that spice world, right? My body's always like, whoa, what was that? I'm not going to go out in public and do Indian food for the first time after my surgery. No, I'm going to try that at home because I don't know what's going to happen, but let's figure it out at home. So think like that. If you've never done it before, you probably shouldn't do it in public first. And then it's not a bad idea, especially Chris, if you're on the road a lot, make sure you know where the bathrooms are, just like you would for a toddler. What if Jerry needs to go to the bathroom? I need to know where to go. That's your situation now as an adult. Where's the bathroom in case I need to go? Okay. Okay. Questions over the post-surgery kind of, what life's going to look like. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on into vitamins. And Amber, if I'm missing anything or, things that you've remembered, like, I want to talk to you about that, just interject, okay?
Okay.
All right, for vitamins, you are going to be taking vitamins. Hopefully Amber has been taking vitamins.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I stopped for a while, but I've gotten
Yeah.
back on track with that.
The basis for the vitamin supplementation is basically what we said earlier. You are not getting that many calories. You're probably not eating more than 1,000 calories, which means you can't get enough vitamins and minerals from your food. You're going to have to take a supplement. With bypass, Chris, one of the things they do with bypass, after they build that little pouch, they typically will take another piece of the intestine and connect it so that your stomach is emptying into a different part of the intestine than it is right now. It's bypassing the first part of the intestine, which is where a lot of the calories are absorbed from food. So with the bypass, we're pushing your calories a little bit further down, blocking absorption. And that's probably, Amber, why they're commenting that you're more susceptible to dumping, because we're basically creating malabsorption. That's part of how bypass works. It blocks your body's ability to absorb all the calories you're eating, in addition to giving you this tiny, tiny, tiny ability to eat anything. Okay. So having said that, did you know that part, Chris, about the intestines? Kind of
they covered it.
Yeah.
Covered it in my
in your like pre-op assessment or
yeah.
Okay. So because there's malabsorption, that means vitamin supplementation in the bypass area is really more important. We got to give you a lot, knowing that it's difficult for you to absorb much. So there are some higher levels on key nutrients just for that reason alone. B12 is the one we really focus on there. The stomach is incredibly involved in how you absorb B12. When we take your stomach out, or we change how much time food is spending in the stomach, it can change how much B12 you have access to. So you will be taking a multivitamin. It will either need to have a lot of B12 in it, or you'll be taking B12 separately. But it's going to be a multivitamin with a pretty high dose of B12. You'll need an iron supplement to some degree, and you'll need some calcium. If the multivitamin is mine, then a lot of these are already taken care of because the multivitamin already has the stuff in it, like C and D, right? We want those things, CoQ10, zinc. We want all those things, but we don't want to have to take them separately. So for the first 6 weeks after your surgery, you will need a vitamin, but it does not need to be a pill or a capsule. It really needs to be a powder or a chewable of some kind, or a spray or a liquid, because your sleeve or your bypass is not ready to pre-digest solids. And we don't want any pills not breaking down correctly and causing any damage to that lining of your bypassed or sleeved area. So What I use for the first 6 weeks through our office is actually a powder. It is a children's vitamin. It's all you need. We don't need the big mega doses yet. And it's just called Mighty Right. It is a tiny, tiny, tiny little scoop. Let me see if I don't know. And so anybody can take this. It's not a problem. But I mean, it is a little scoop. This is not hard to take at all. My pinky fits in here. Compare that to a, oh, where'd my protein scoop go? Yeah, protein scoops, everybody knows, shovels of sand, right? The protein. So here's the difference with the vitamin. It's tiny. Just once a day is all you need. I know. This vitamin is a little unique though. It's very yellow. It's because it's full of curcumin, or the active ingredient in turmeric. This is a very, very good anti-inflammatory, very good for after surgery. It's also got elderberry in it, which is good for your immune system, and has a nice big dose of B12, 100 micrograms. Contrast that with Flintstone, right? With a children's chewable, which is fine to take, but it has about 6 micrograms of B12 in it. So this is 100. Your goal is 500 micrograms or more. The RDA for B12 is 6. So that's how much B12 we need you taking so that you can not be B12 anemic. So that's my answer for the first 6 weeks. And remember when I said week 1 is sip and survive, no vitamins. We don't need you taking any vitamins until week 2. And then you'll just ease into the powder. If you do order the vitamin kit through us, it comes with instructions. It's going to tell you exactly what to do and when to do it. It's very detailed. And what it will say on that powder is start by taking it every other day for that first week that you take it. And then you'll build up to every day and you'll just take it till it's gone. That should take you to the end of the 6-week period. That's when you'll graduate to your real long-term maintenance vitamin regimen. Okay. So all you need first 6 weeks in terms of a vitamin is something like a children's formula that's in a powder or a chewable. And in full disclosure, you can shop anywhere you want. You can go to Bariatric Advantage. You can go to GNC, I guess. You can go to Walmart. Just don't get gummies and don't buy cheap crap, because you're getting an inside BMW. You need top quality stuff. So garbage is not a good idea for you. And you just don't want to take something that you can't stick with, right? If it tastes bad, you're not going to stick with it. If it's expensive, you won't stick with it. So anyway, I'm just showing you what's available through my office, but you can purchase wherever and however it works for you. Okay. Anyway, any questions over the powder vitamin?
You say that you could put that into a liquid or
Yes,
to drink
yes.
it?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You can put it in any amount of liquid you want and just shake it up and just boop, pop it. Or you can
Okay.
put it in your smooth, whatever you may be mixing. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually a little tropically flavored. It kind of blends really well with anything in that pineapple or coconut flavor profile. And it's not an over the top woo. It's really just very nice.
Okay.
Okay. Gas and bloating are probably huge concerns the first few weeks after surgery. And we're going to talk about some stuff for that as well. But for right now, I'm just going to focus on the vitamins. When you get to 6 weeks, you can transition to pill supplementation, which is generally just easier and a little less expensive. We do a 1-a-day capsule. And so this is just done right. Anybody can take this. It is once a day. I'm not a fan of taking 9 pills a day. That's just a system for quitting, even in my own house. So this is just a normal size capsule. The B12 is in there. You don't have to add B12. D is in there in the correct amount. You don't need to add that. C, everything is in there. So you don't need to add anything separately other than iron and calcium. We are going to take those separately, mainly because iron is notorious for messing up people's stomachs. And if we attach it to the vitamin, well, now we've lost the ability to use the vitamin. Amber may need iron every day and Chris does not. Or it could be the opposite. So we're going to handle the iron separately so that we can give it to you correctly. Over supplementing iron is a bad idea and it's dangerous. So I don't do it. Calcium and iron are enemies. So we like to take them separately as well. So when we keep them separate, we have more control. Okay. So that's the capsule. That's once a day. Very simple. Calcium, I personally just feel like powder is better. It's better absorbed. We use a very easy calcium magnesium powder, nothing fancy about it other than it's tasteless. And it's in that same tiny scoop that I just showed you. This is taken twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, and you're done. And if you skipped a day, it wouldn't kill you. But that's how we do that. I'm sorry.
What was it called?
Yeah, it's just a calcium magnesium powder. And I'm going to send you
Okay.
a link. I didn't send it before the class, but I'll send you a link as soon as we're done. It just takes you
Okay.
to where these products are so you can see them. We have them in like a kit if you want to do it in the box. It's the easiest way to do it, but I'll send you that link.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And then iron. Iron we're very careful with. Chris, have you taken an iron before?
I'm usually pretty high in iron, so I've
Okay,
never
good. So
had
you
an
may be
issue.
one of those people that doesn't need a lot of iron, right? Perfect. Well, if you're a female, you've probably taken an iron supplement. We know they're gross. This one is basically a prescription strength product. It's called Easy Iron because, Amber, it's letting you know it's not going to constipate you. Okay. It's iron bisglycinate, which is very different from ferrous sulfate. Ferrous sulfate is very constipative. It's the typical one you see on the grocery store shelves, and it hurts your stomach and it just tastes nasty. This is actually a capsule. It's very small, like a Tic Tac, and it's coupled or partnered with another high dose of B12, folic acid, and vitamin C. So it's just kind of that multi-prong approach to anemia. Because this product is very good at what it does, and we don't know anything about you really till after your surgery, the instructions will tell you to take it once a week. Just when you get to your 6 weeks, we'll just introduce the iron, take it once a week. You're going to have labs drawn by your doctor anyway. They're going to be following very closely your anemia numbers. If your numbers are fine, you don't need more than that. If your numbers are low, then we'll say, hey, Amber, you need to take it twice a week. Your doctor will tell you to increase it. But like Chris, if your numbers are great, then you don't need to take it every day, and you shouldn't take it every day. So that's how we approach iron there. This is a 60 capsule bottle. So if you're only taking it once a week, I mean, this is going to last you all year. So it's a very inexpensive but very effective way to take iron. And that's kind of the vitamin regimen through my system. It's one vitamin a day, maybe the iron if it's your day that week to take it, and then just a little calcium scoop in the morning and at night, and that's it. That is it. That is all you need. Okay. Ongoing, I bundle these. So typically, if you are taking things every day, these should last you at least 2 months. If you end up taking them every other day, you're going to get about 4 months out of these bottles. So try to keep prices down, efficacy up, and effectiveness super high, so that we're taking vitamins that are meaningful, not wondering if they're right, just feeding the sewer system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, for gas and bloating, this is a reality after surgery. You're going to get a list of over-the-counter things that are okay, right, from your doctor to take. I'm just going to tell you, this is what we use to combat that. This is a chewable, and I'll even show you what this looks like, called Prozyme. The pro means probiotics. The zyme is for digestive enzymes. It's a chewable product, looks just like this, tastes delicious. Kids can take it too. I call it the fire blanket. When you feel that gassy, bloaty thing, like something didn't sit well with me, or ooh, you just take a chewable. It literally just makes it all stop. It's like magic. I can't even tell you how lovely this product is. Indian food, it's got nothing on Prozyme. So that is totally safe to take before and right after your surgery. It's all good. Kids can take it too. But it really helps the inside stay healthy, because long term, you have to poop for this to work. I hope you guys know that. Pooping and weight loss, they got to go together. If you're constipated, you're miserable, and you're also not losing weight. So we want to keep that digestive tract working. So the Prozyme can be really, really important there. The other two things that are in my kit that are not required because of your surgery, it just rounds out a really nice approach. This is a chewable called Zelo. It's zinc and elderberry. This is an immune system supporter. It's also good for hair, skin, and nails. And I can see that Chris does not want to lose any of his hair. He's just got lots of those long locks. But I know Amber doesn't want to lose hair. Yeah. So now the winter's here and bird flu and COVID are trying to find us. You need to help your immune system out. Your food's not going to be able to do it. Again, this is also child safe. Anybody in the family can take it. It's a chewable, just like I showed you. It's got a great flavor. It's really nice. And then the last thing, consideration for you guys, is sleep. If you're not sleeping well, you will not lose weight well. If you go to bed stressed and full of blue light and all jacked up from doing whatever on social media, that's not good sleep. So less blue light before bed, please, so that your brain can just calm down. And then if you use a sleep aid, I'd rather it be something natural. If you're using Lunesta or Ambien or Trazodone, those are very effective, but they kind of shut down your brainstem so that when you take it, you have to go far away and Maybe if the house is on fire, you can't get up and get out. I don't know. But I kind of lean towards CBD and THC, if that's appropriate. But the other one is melatonin. So this is called Rude Dog Night, also children safe, pet safe too. It's very concentrated liquid melatonin. If you've used tablet melatonin, it doesn't really work that well. But that's like going back a glass of red wine and going to bed. It's not addictive, doesn't turn off your brainstem, so that you can get up if the house is on fire and maybe even get back to sleep if you need to. So we include that. You have to sleep. You need 6-ish hours of uninterrupted sleep to be getting good sleep. And sleep is where all the restorative processes happen. So we want you to get it. Okay. That's the box. Your vitamin, iron, calcium, Prozyme for gas and indigestion, Zelo for immune system, and the night for sleep. That is it. Simple. Okay. Questions? Anybody feel overwhelmed? Confused?
Just a general overwhelming feeling
Yeah.
of what's to come, I guess.
Yeah. So you're going to be practicing some key things so that when we meet again in February, you can say, oh, this is not working. Or, oh, yeah, I got this. This is working. You're going to be working on no straws, no carbonation, seeing if you can take in calories 5 times a day. You're a full-size guy right now. We don't need to pretend that you've already had surgery, okay? So just eat. But I want it happening every 2 to 3 hours so that you're eating, getting hungry in a couple of hours, eating again, getting hungry in a couple of hours, eating again, getting comfortable with the interruption and the fact that you need it. Okay. That's what I want you focusing on, plus not eating and drinking, giving it a go, trying it out. Not looking for perfection, just exposure to the concepts. Okay. And then Amber, wherever you need to put yourself back on track, just get yourself back on track. You know where the areas are. So just tweak, and see if you don't have more comfort or you just notice, wow, that was better. And maybe we've put off a revision.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think we covered all the big concepts. You're welcome anytime. The schedule is going to, it'll be full this month. If you ever want to take the class again, there's no charge to do that. You guys just NA the paid field. Well, you know what? I don't know if I can do that anymore. It's the same log on. It's the same process. If you know that I'm doing a class someday and you just want to pop in and hear it again, just log in. I don't even need advance notice. Just show up and do it again. I'm going to send you a video recording of this class so that you have it. And then if you have questions, let me know. Chris, do you want me to submit to United Healthcare for you for insurance purposes?
Yes, if you can.
Yeah, I can. I was telling Amber earlier, I just kind of reevaluated how I was doing things last year, and I can totally submit to insurance for you. If they do cover your visit, we'll just refund, right, what you prepaid. But if that saves you a step, it's very easy for me to do it. I don't mind submitting for you.
All right.
And it'll
Sounds good.
probably save you some time. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So I'll do that, and I'll do that for you as well, Amber. I have United Healthcare for Chris and a Blue Cross for Amber, correct? Okay. Okay. All right. We'll do that. But after we hang up, I'm sending documentation to your coordinators to let them know you completed your visit. You will get a link from me, Chris, on how to schedule visits 2 and 3. Amber, we're done, but I'll send you both the link to any vitamin products we talked about today. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions for me? No complaints. I don't want to hear any bad stuff, but you can.
I
No.
don't have any. I just need to send you the coordinator information that I have, I
Yes,
guess.
for Lone
for
Star. Yeah, you can text that to me if you'd like.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Sounds good. All
Sounds
right.
good.
Well, good luck,
Um,
everybody. And Chris, I'll talk to you in Feb.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.